What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Trey, and as usual, hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. Now, today, we're going to talk about my definition of a basketball big three. But before we do that, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Comment, tell anyone about the show. Try and get the ratings up a little bit, just a little bit. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about a basketball big three. What is it, right? Well, long story short, the definition for me is you got to acquire 3 perennial all-star players, right? And they can be in their prime or around their prime. For example, if you're like 31 plus, all right, cool. We'll take that too. That's part of a big three. So again, ladies and gentlemen, that's my definition of a big three. And now this conversation, you might be wondering, well, where did this spark off from, right? How many big threes we really have in the NBA? Are they really working right now? That's another discussion for another day. But this conversation sparked off because we have some beef right now. Rich Paul and Chris Bosh. Rich Paul has actually made the statement, ladies and gentlemen, that this was never a big three. The Miami Heat were never a big three. And in fact, the exact statement was this. There were 3 guys that went in the lottery, and they did really well individually on their teams. So they had big numbers and had big accomplishments. But when you think about it, Bosh was the ultimate professional. He took a back seat, and he played a role in which, because he had such a high Q and he was such a professional as an individual, his approach to everything is what made that work. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm still trying to figure out how this is not a big three. Again, y'all heard my definition, but maybe y'all don't agree. So let's go over a couple examples of what a big three is. Because again, I think Rich Paul is off his rocker. So let's look at the Boston Celtics, for example, right? We have, in 2008, Paul Pierce, who was 30 years old, 5-time All-Star. Ray Allen, 32, 7-time All-Star. Kevin Garnett, 31, 10-time All-Star. And they formed together. And they ended up winning a championship too, by the way. Could have won twice and won for my boys. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know how we got down. But, ladies and gentlemen, still a big three, whether we want to look at it or not. And again, I said around the prime years. Prime years for me is like 25 to 20 or to 30. I really say 26 to 30, but I'll include 25 as well. So again, they fit the bill, right? How about the Warriors? And they have a big 4. Like Steph, 28, 3-time All-Star. Klay Thompson, 27, 3-time All-Star. Draymond Green, 27, 2-time All-Star. Kevin Durant, 28, 7-time All-Star with OKC. Like, this is a big 4. And funny enough, too, I love this picture right here, ladies and gentlemen, because if you look at Kevin Durant's elbow, it's kind of blocking out Draymond Green's face. So they really had a big 3 with KD, Steph, and Kevin Durant. With KD, Steph, and Klay Thompson. But I love the elbow right here because, again, it's blocking out Draymond Green's face. But, ladies and gentlemen, let's not get it twisted. They did have a big 4. We're going to act like this wasn't a big 4 now because we can say, oh, well, Klay Thompson and Draymond Green were the ultimate professionals. They didn't really have the ego like that. Like, no, I'm not going to say that, bro, at all. So when we're looking at here, this Heat team, this Miami Heat team, and remember, ladies and gentlemen, these boys said, we going to win. Hold on, let me get back on screen. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8. Like they said, all that. That team want a big 3? Really? Let's look off and see what they actually did, right? All right. Heat in 2011. They acquired Chris Bosh and LeBron James. Bosh was a 5-time All-Star. Braun was a 6-time All-Star. 26 years old. That's in the prime years, ladies and gentlemen. They already had D. Wade, who was 29, still in the prime years, ladies and gentlemen, who was a 6-time All-Star and an NBA champ with a Finals MVP to boot. But again, this team ain't no big 3. Like never a big 3. Really? Just the ultimate professional. Got you. That sounds ignorant as hell. And I'm telling you right now, I need to hear Bron's stance on this statement. Because right now, the battle between Chris Bosh and Rich Paul is ridiculous. And I think right now, all we're doing when we're making this statement of never a big three, we're really just trying to make the narrative, change the narrative, and help Bron's case out in the GOAT discussion. Like next up, we're going to talk about D Wade really wasn't a dynamic duo with Bron because he was 29 and the injuries issue. And I've actually heard people try to make that case too, by the way, which is insane. Then like Bron's camp and Stans love to control the narratives, ladies and gentlemen. So, and you got to remember too, that 2007 Cavs team, it wasn't as bad as people try to make it out to be. And I've already made a video about this. I hope y'all go check it out. But next, I'm wondering what's going to happen. Like, what statement is Rich Paul going to make? Because I have a huge gripe with this statement. Again, if Chris Bosh is not there, there's a strong chance the Miami Heat don't win too. There's a legitimate chance because again, he had to adapt and become a stretch five, one of the most successful stretch fives that we've seen in the NBA's history. Like that is a wild statement. And again, we're trying to make the narrative that Bron is a little closer to Jordan than what people want to admit. Well, since we want to discredit players, fine, let's do it like this. Since we want to control narratives, Bron's played with 20 All-Stars. MJ played with 12. Bron's played against 29 All-Stars. MJ's played against 23 in the playoffs. So it sounds like Bron need more help going against less talent if we talk about ratios. Is that the narrative you want to spin to, Rich Paul? I'm just asking a question. Because again, making the statement that this was never a big three, like this was never a big three, really? That's ignorant as hell to state. So again, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all are seeing the gripe and understanding why I really, truly hate this statement. And again, this is LeBron James's agent. So I'm very curious what LeBron James says in defense to Chris Bosh, someone who's contributed to him getting 2 championships and helped make a case for him to be even in the GOAT discussion to begin with. But, ladies and gentlemen, I'm curious y'all thoughts. Am I off my rocker? Do y'all think Rich Paul is right? Y'all let me know. But that does conclude the episode, ladies and gentlemen. So I greatly appreciate you all for listening. Hope you all are having a good one. Please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone who's anyone about the show. My name is Trey. I'm the host of Get a Bucket. Hope you all are having a good one. Take care.